Hi guys, welcome back to the Nostalgia Hut. I'm here with my co-host James.
What's up, guys?
I'm Noddy, and today we're going to be talking about hobbies of the past, which for me massively was skateboarding. I've been a skateboarder since I was 13 years old when I first started properly skating. Got a board from a local sports shop and it just went from there for me, and I've pretty much skated ever since. Just recently not really skated as much because I'm getting older and I've got other things to be doing like working and stuff like that, but yeah, it's like skating for me was massive back in the day. I suppose you saw a lot of that because you used to come down the skate park and hang out with us and stuff.
So I used to be a little bit younger than you, so obviously you were quite, you used to be doing the cool tricks with my friends weren't quite so I do remember that, and we used to go down the same skate park, in fact. Used to hang out. So I did try skating. Unfortunately, I don't think my feet are like, I'm a bit, cack-footed.
Yeah.
But I did try. I got into BMX.
It's not as easy for everyone to get into the skating because it is a lot with balance and a lot with obviously training your feet to do what you want them to do. You know what I mean? It's something that takes a lot of time, a lot of progression, and a lot of effort and such to get into and to build up. You know what I mean? It's not something you can just like that and you're good at it. You know what I mean?
I also find I always had a bit of a factor of like fearlessness as well, because obviously to learn you got to fall over, and that's just a thing, isn't it? It's not like you can escape that, is it?
Exactly. And that's easier when you're younger, because obviously you can fall over and hurt yourself when you're younger and it doesn't matter so much because you're just going to school or something like that. But nowadays, if you fall over and hurt yourself, that's me like not going to work or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's a lot more, if you got to think about it differently as you get older, and stuff like that. And when you're younger, I find you bounce a lot easier. As a young kid, you can hit the floor, boom, and just get straight back up. Obviously you might cry or something like that, but you'll get back up and you're normally all right. You're a lot more supple when you're at that age, and then as you get older you get a bit more frail and
things can break now,
start hurting a lot more. Like my knee's completely shot and I've got to take it easy on it and stuff like that, and it's just there's injuries that come to being from skating for such a long time. But
what was your first event, let's say, when you do skating and then you've done your first exciting event? Do you remember that one, or which one that one was?
So my first proper event, what that I competed in, or one that I took part in, or a skating event of some sort?
So one that you took part in, one that you were that first excitement of oh my god, I'm doing a competition myself or something like that.
I suppose when I'd done my first Team Extreme show was most probably a pretty big thing for me. I'd done a lot of local little competitions back when I was younger, but it was always little things. And when I was younger, it was more about just going to the local skate park and skating with your mates. And that's what it was about. We didn't really do competitions when we were younger because we didn't really see them, you know what I mean? We were with it, so it was, there's a competition going on over here, we're going to go to it. It's
sort of fun.
We were just literally going down the skate park to have a skate, or we'd go to a road that had a waxed curb just to skate the curb, you know what I mean? We'd be doing different things and going different places, but it would just be local sort of thing, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh my god, we're going to go travelling. Nowadays you've got kids going to skate park and they're 9 years old, and then you go to a skate park right up north and you see them again and you're like,
really?
What are you doing? It's my dad takes me around to all the comps, and you're just nowadays with internet and things like that, you're a lot more accessible to seeing where the competitions are going on and think, that's going on, that's going on, we can go there, we can do this. Whereas back in that, when we first started skating, you didn't have internet, you didn't have that. The only way you'd find out about competitions was word of mouth, or going to the local skate shop, or going to the skate parks that had competitions going on and finding out through posters and things like that, or magazines, you know what I mean? But internet wasn't as big back then for posting about competitions and things as such that were going on. So I never really went to many big comps back then.
I suppose it must have grew the community quite massively, if you got that accessibility now to be able to go to competitions and all the other things that are going on compared to when you were younger. Did you notice a difference in how many people started to skate or were entering?
It's weird, back in the day I think there was more people that actually went to them. It's crazy, back in the day when we had competitions going on, you'd get a lot more. I don't know, because I suppose in the 90s and 2000s, skating was it was a raw underground thing that was breaking through. So it was a lot more whoa, this is cool. You had people that didn't know about it that thought, oh, this is cool, and what is this? Like seeing the side of it. So like the years that obviously like Bam Margera was coming out with CKY, and you've got all of that sort of stuff. And Bam was bringing, and you got the first part of the Jackasses coming out, and a lot of them skated. In
it was really in fashion, wasn't it? Even what people wore.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The grunge, like sort of skating.
Exactly. It was a massive hit when like Limp Bizkit was, and Slipknot were like, they were all getting to like number ones and getting Grammys and things like this.
They're still huge now.
Yeah, exactly.
Sing their song and a lot of people know it, even if they weren't particularly into that genre.
Exactly. And so it just goes to show that the scene back then was a lot more looked into and appreciated by a wider community, whereas nowadays there's not as many people, unless you're interested in skateboarding. You don't really see it like in music videos and in adverts as such, unless they're trying to promote activity or something like that in the advert. Then you can start to see it. You don't really see it like back in the day in music videos. They'd like, people would sing about it, like Skater Boy, Avril Lavigne, and there was like Limp Bizkit videos where he done it in skate parks, and they had skaters skating over them all and stuff like that.
Well, those were the cool scenes, weren't they?
Exactly. Back in the day, that's what it was all about. But nowadays, it's more seen like because it's in the Olympics now. It's more seen as an actual physical sport, and unless you're into that physical sport, you're not really going to go and watch it, are you?
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
True.
So it's not really part of the scene, the wider scene, as much as what it was back in the 90s and that. So you don't really get the bigger crowds. Like NAS back in the day, the festival that I do every year, that used to be purely skateboarding, BMXing, inline skating, motocross, mountain biking. Had it all, had slalom, downhill skating, it had everything going on.
Wow.
And nowadays, all it is skateboarding and BMX.
Really?
That is it.
Oh wow, I'd have thought it would be the other way around.
And it's completely flipped now to a drum and bass festival with a sideshow of skating. Whereas back when it first started, it was all about the skating with a sideshow of music. And they started and as time's gone on, it's slowly flipped and turned, and they started noticing the best way they're going to make their money is by promoting the music side of it. That's where they were bringing in more of a crowd, through the music. And that's when they started realising, and that's when they flipped it. But it's kind of bad for skating in a way, because NAS was such a big sport festival back in the day for the skaters, such a big mark in the calendar for skaters to go to. Whereas nowadays it's not as much, because it's just seen as a music festival that everyone goes to and gets drunk and just it's a party, you know what I mean? It's not as much of a competition standard that everyone looks to go to now, which is quite upsetting in a way. And like I say, and they're limiting the amount of people that are going there by not having inline and not having the mountain biking, not having the motocross that they used to have.
I was going to say that surely they must draw a crowd.
It's everyone, you know what I mean? Like if any sport is going to bring in a crowd, no matter what sport it is, because you're always going to get people going like, oh, I inline. It might only bring like 200 extra people, but it's still going to bring in that 200 extra people. So if you've got a load of motocross there, you're still going to get all the motocross heads going, oh, that person's going to come here and do the motocross show. I would like to go watch it. And they would come in. But obviously for them to do that, they need a bigger budget, because they're realising the way they're making their money is through selling the music. So they'd have to do it on top of the music.
Well, with music, you get really high-priced tickets, don't you?
Exactly. Because obviously they've got to pay for the artists and everything like that as well on top. So it has skating has changed dramatically over the years from what it used to be when I first started. It was such an underground core thing that literally was just emerging to become something big, and now it's in the Olympics. You know what I mean? It's classed as an Olympic sport. So
I suppose in a way it's made it to that degree, but in a way it sort of spoiled that pure essence that you were talking about.
Exactly, yeah. So in one way, this is a lot of the skateboard community have. You either like the Olympics or you don't like the Olympics, like Marmite.
What's your opinions on the Olympics? Are you?
I think it's good, because all it's going to do is either promote it as more and get more people interested in it, and you're going to get more funding maybe towards it, because obviously all the councils and governments want to have someone in their town that has got a gold medal.
Of course,
that's something
it helps
big.
The town out.
Exactly. That's one of the big things that they try and push for. So if you had someone from your town that had got a gold medal, you get the gold post box in your town, don't you? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So basically, if it's someone that's from Gosport or from Portsmouth, from where we live, gets a gold medal in the Olympics, you get a gold postbox in your town.
Wow.
So obviously that's quite a big thing for councils to look at. So obviously being for funding wise, that if they're going to think, oh, someone from this town could eventually become, then you know what I mean, you can apply for funding a lot more better now. So that is one thing that's maybe going to help with it.
So helping the community and stuff like that as well.
But the other downside to that is obviously with that, you're going to then need to have like a group committee and all that sort of things, which the skating was like seen as more like an art form, and to have a committee for an art, it's not really, you're trying to...
the spirit a bit.
Yeah, you can't really, because skateboarding is all about expressing yourself. You can literally skate however you want, do whatever you want, do whatever tricks you want. You know what I mean? You can skate on the floor, you can skate on a big ramp, you can skate on a curve, it's literally whatever you want to do on that skateboard, you can do. But with the Olympics, they're going to set certain stipulations and certain tricks. Like if you can't do this trick, then there's no point in you even trying. And I don't know if I heard it correctly, but so don't quote me on this, but I did hear somewhere them saying if you couldn't do a certain 3 tricks, then you wouldn't get on the Olympic squad.
Oh, really?
To be funded, to be pushed going towards the Olympics. Whether that's true or not, I do not know.
Sounds like over-regulation to me, that does.
Yeah, because again, that's like, you're not living with the free essence. Like someone might not be able to do them 3 tricks, but could be an absolutely amazing skateboarder doing these other 3 tricks. You know what I mean? Like, I think skateboarding, in my opinion, is such a free thing to do. Like there should be no boundaries to it, and that's what a lot of old school skateboarders are like. No, the Olympics, we don't want it in this.
You have to see what they
so
say.
It is very like hit and miss, but in my opinion, it's only going to be seen as good. There's going to be more light brought to it, more funding brought to it, more, hopefully, more light to skateboarding. And as such, we'll push it more, we'll get more skate parks, more places to skate, more things to skate. We'll be more accepted in the towns. Say we wanted to go skate down the high street, which back in the day would be like, no, get off your skateboard. Hopefully now it'll be a bit more like, oh yeah, cool, they're skating, that's so cool. Like, I'm gonna it's cool for them to skate there.
So have you ever met anybody famous, like on sort of skating competitions, stuff like that, or anybody like notable?
I've met some famous skateboarders, not like big famous that like anyone would know, but obviously I've met like Andrew Reynolds, I've met like Clay Kreiner, I've met like a load of top skaters from today and back in the day, but then obviously like worldwide famous, not so much. It's not like someone that would walk down the street and be like, oh my god, that's that. Like, I've never met Tony Hawk's and I've never met Bam Margera, even though I have got this signed Bam VHS.
Very nice.
From back in the that was something I bought off online.
We'll have to bring out a VHS for another podcast, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
For the ones that don't know what that is.
Yeah, for the ones that don't know what a VHS is.
We'll have to show you. That box?
What is a VHS? We watch stuff on that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool though. But in the skating community, that's pretty cool to have met them.
Yeah, and obviously like I see like a lot of my friends that I skate with now as being like top skaters in the UK, and they're all like traveling around the world and everything like that. Like there's a lot of the kids that are younger and growing up would see them as like, oh my god, they're famous, like that's the famous UK skateboarder and things like that. But to me, they're just more like friends sort of thing. People I hang out with, people I build skate parks for. Because obviously I build skate parks for a living. So like obviously some of them I'll build skate parks for them. Like this weekend, I'm building the skate park for the Urban Games in Wales.
Awesome.
So I'll be down there building skate parks for a lot of the pro Wales skaters that are going to come down and compete for, I'm guessing, points towards the Olympics.
That's really cool. So you could be watching this and thinking, I'm about to, go to that, and this is the guy.
Yeah, I'll be building your ramp, so don't annoy me, all right?
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. That's an interesting job. It's not something that you hear about very often, is it? Like,
no.
I bet you have. Like, how does that happen? I suppose.
So basically, I started doing Team Extreme shows back when. How old was I? I must have been like early 20s when I started doing Team Extreme shows, and I started doing them and going to them, and I started helping out building the ramps and everything like that, because I've generally always been quite a builderish kind of guy. Like I can build. I'm a builder. So eventually they realised how good I was at building the ramps, and eventually they were like, oh, we've got this big job going on, can you come and help us out with this big job? We know how good you are at building. And I was like, yeah, sweet, I'll come and do that. And then after I started doing that for quite a while, just carrying on doing my normal job as well as doing Team Extreme shows as kind of side thing. Eventually I got to do invert competitions and got to speaking to a designer that designs wooden skate parks for a living, and that's what he'd done. He works for a company called 414 Skate Parks, or he did at the time. And he got me in to NAS Festival, which was my first break.
Awesome.
Started building ramps there and realised that this is the best job ever. It's literally what I love. I love skateboarding. I love that whole thing. So I was doing 10, 12-hour days and not caring, just like, this is amazing. I'll keep doing this all day. And he got me in to start building the ramps there, and they realised how good of a builder I was, or just how keen I was to get involved and get in and build, and they invited me back to do more shows and more builds, and then I went and done, I think it was Greystone in Manchester. I got rung up and they said, oh, we need you for 16 weeks up in Manchester.
Wow.
It's a big job, we're going to be there for 16 weeks, blah, blah, blah. Can you come and help us? And to the boss that I was talking to at the time, because I was kind of self-employed with him, I kind of said to him, I said, look, I've got this massive opportunity to go and do something that I really love for 16 weeks. If I go and do it, would I still have my job? And he was just straight out said no. Unfortunately,
big choice then.
Yeah, so it was either go build skate parks or not do that and carry on doing a job which I wasn't happy in doing. It was just paying the bills, you know what I mean? And in the end, I thought I'd take that massive leap and just went and jumped and done it, and that's been it ever since. It's hit and miss. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we don't work all year round. There is a couple of months where there's no work, there's nothing going on, so I've got to try and do other things to try and make a bit of money here and there just to keep myself going. But when it is going, it's going good. So
I think it makes a big change when you enjoy it, isn't it?
Yeah, if it's something you love doing and you're really into it, then you're going to put your heart and soul into it. You know what I mean? If it's something,
exactly that.
It's something you appreciate, then you're going to carry on wanting to do it, and you're going to want to excel in doing it. So
be the best at what you do.
Exactly, and that's something I would like. I try to do when I think about skate park building. I try to think, this is going to be the best way of building this. Like, we want this to be this way, all that, and I try to think, how can I do this? Yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm still learning. Like, everyone makes mistakes. Every day is a school day. You know what I mean? You're always learning as you're going on, and especially with ramp building as well, because every ramp design is so different, and there's always something curvy. Like, you've got to bend it this way and that way and this way, and you've got.
So is it not specific? Is it you don't give out like certain things? They literally say, "I want this." Like
Pretty much. The people will come to you and say, like, we've got this amount of area. I want a skate plaza there. I want a bowl there. I want a jump box there. And
awesome.
They'll tell you what they want, and then you throw it together. We'll have designers that will throw it together into a drawing, a 3D drawing that they can show and move it around, and they can have a look at everything and see how they like it. And then that 3D drawing is then given to us, and we then go away and build it. So most of the time, the drawing comes to us and it's got everything done already, like where each beam goes, what radius the transitions needs to be cut to, what angle everything needs to be, and everything like that. But there is, on the odd occasion on every job pretty much, where there's something where they're like, this is what we want, and they just give you an idea and we go, okay, and then we need to get in there and just need to fiddle around to get it to work and make it how it needs to be, you know what I mean?
That's cool. You never know, one day you might have like Noddy's shop. They're building your own skate parks.
Well, that's what
your craft.
That's what this room was originally built for. During lockdown, obviously, we weren't working, so I started building boxes and things like that in here. Grind boxes and stuff like that. I called it lockdown ramps. That was cool. I built a little grind box for someone, and then I done a few quotes and that for building stuff for people. But then obviously 414 started back up, and that was 24/7, and I was back into doing that. So I kind of stopped doing stuff in here, really, which is why we're now doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
the workshop is now turned into the nostalgia hut.
Oh yes.